Hey there, everybody. Good morning. It's about 9 something. I'm a little late again. 9:09. I guess I guess I should just make that the official start time. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to continue the oil painting that I started on the last video, and that happens to be on the skateboard here. So, I was thinking that today I would add some water, put some water in it, and so what I did after the video was over on the last one was I came through with a brush and I just knocked down any of the heavy spots. I tried not to change the details, but I was out of time. I couldn't just keep burning video time. And so I turned the camera off, and then I just got rid of the real heavy spots and smoothed out some of the brush strokes that might interfere with adding another layer of detail. So I'm more ready now to put details on top of this. So I'm going to try to put some water droplets on the petals of the flowers. I'm going to put some water drops in the sky. I thought it'd be cool if I was trying to think if I even made a video on this. It's fun to do special effects with water. And so I want to put light shining through water drops that are just floating in the atmosphere. I mean, we'll see how it turns out. That's the goal for today. And then fine tune, fine tune my shapes, my flowers, my leaves, try to get this to where it's looking pretty finished. I'm hoping for this to be the last video on this skateboard that will actually go into a skateboard exhibit that will travel to different art shows, thanks to my good friend Dwayne Koiwena that put that all together. All right, we're up to 50 viewers, it looks like. I'm going to go over to the analytics and see we've got about 50 people tuned in. Thank you very much for taking the time out to watch. And so I'm excited. Let's see who we've got here on the live chat. We've got a lot of the faithful regulars back. Thank you for being here again. Tom, Aaron, Mary, and Leanne back again. Good seeing you as always. Val, good morning to you. And we've got Bridget back again. Thank you for being here. And let's see. Did I say Aaron? Aaron, if I didn't say it already, welcome back. Thank you for taking the time again. Good morning from California, says Kathy McAdams. And I believe my brother Ben is back in California. He probably did not remember that the live stream was this morning, and I didn't want to bother him. I've been really using his time a lot lately. So for those of you not familiar, my brother Ben helped me out on a few of these live streams, managing the live chat for the important comments that I was missing. But I'm just going to have to pay special close attention to catch that myself and give him a break for a little bit. I think that this Wednesday, so in 2 days, Wednesday, that would be my next scheduled live painting video. And I'm going to need to move that time because I'm working on a real job. I've got a on construction site job, a new medical center going up here in Flagstaff, and I'm just painting some real simple decorative graphics all over the walls and in the children's rooms. So it's a fun job. It's probably going to go by pretty quick, but I really need to take time out in the middle of the day. So I've got to shift the time of the live stream, and so I'm going to move that to 3 p.m., 3 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Wednesday. I'll say that again before the video's over, just to be sure. Fans from Malaysia, cool. Thank you, Stanley. Thank you for leaving that. It's very encouraging. I love it when people let me know where you're watching from, and that there's other people. Sometimes people will say, "Hey, you've got a group down here like Rio Rico. It's a couple hundred miles south, bottom of Arizona." My mom lives down there, and it was just such a satisfying thing for me to learn that I had some students down there watching my videos in Rio Rico. Man, I love that. So I got to go down there and visit. You can see the video where I go to middle school. If you search my channel for the video where I go to the middle schools down in Rio Rico. It was a lot of fun. I loved that. So thank you, those of you that let me know where you're watching from and who's there. I love that. It's encouraging to me. 5 p.m. says Casio 1000. Coffee here in Scotland. All right, cool. Hello, Believe 3.0. Thanks for being here again. I love big jobs, says Heather Moss. They're the most fun. Well, I agree. You know, when I get to move my whole arm to make shapes, I love that. It's so much more exciting now. I do love getting into little details. The finished product is very satisfying when you have a nice detail piece, you know, like this skateboard. But the process is so fun. When I get to move my body, make a big picture, you know, I just feel like I'm in it and feel like I'm in the world that I'm trying to bring to life. All right, we've got artist Diana back again. Thank you for being here. That's 6 p.m. More me and self. Oh, yeah, I know it's hard to make the time perfect for everybody. I thought, hey, maybe that'll be a nice change for other viewers that are like watching it at 2 a.m. Shift that time a little bit. So maybe we'll just continue to do that in the future. Mix up the show time. I still haven't landed on something regular. All right, from Brazil, Vania Mapos. Thank you for being here. Wendy Robinson says hi. Thanks, Wendy. And it's time for me to start putting paint on my what do you call it? Palette, which is just a piece of siding from my house. The colors I'm going to be using today, I've got some, it's a pile of paints that I was given. And so I'd probably not be working in oils if I hadn't been given some oil paints to mess around with. That's way more yellow than I need, but this way I don't have to dip into it again as I progress. I'm going to use definitely some black, so let's get some of that on here. Where did I put my tube of black? The reason I want black is because it is very important. If you're going to do this special effect, which I'm going to show you how to do, of water catching the light shining through whatever shape I want to make with that water. Contrast is very important. So I've got to be able to get dark enough shadows on there that it really makes the highlights pop out. They really need to stand out. So black will be important to darken my colors. And then I'm going to be using a few, if I get to it, I'm going to enhance these. Now that this first layer is dry on my flowers, I'll want to enhance those. So I'll put some orange and red on here. This is so fun having a palette of oils that just doesn't dry. I'm so used to working with the fast drying acrylics. Man, I forget that I'm always in a rush thinking, I got to do something before the paint dries. It's not drying. It doesn't dry. not in one sitting. Anyway, it's so different working with these oils. So I've been really enjoying the time just to think through. But man, it can slow me down. It can really slow me down. Getting caught up in the details just because because the paint gives me time to. So now I'm putting on some red. I don't even know what kind of red this is. I don't care what kind of red it is. All I know is that it looks like a bright red. So I'm putting that on here. Companies, they like to put their own brand. They like to put their own color name. Put a little bit of black, a little bit of orange, put a little something in the mix. Make your own red, your own yellow. Whatever. By the time I use the color, it's mixed. I'm undoing and redoing everything that was done to that fancy color name. I hardly ever have something right out of the tube. on the canvas. I'm always just mixing it. So I just go over the brightest primary colors. Primary color is a color that I can't mix. That's what I do in order to mix all my colors. I just get all the brightest primary colors I can, and so I would consider this green a primary color because I'm not going to get a green that is this intense by mixing blue and yellow. But blue and yellow do make a fantastic green. All right. So the last color I'm going to do, I'm just missing one color that I'll probably want to have here, and that is the magenta. So I'm going to look for that Theo Violet that I had. I had some in here. This one would probably work. Alizarin Crimson, I think, is very similar to that. But I want to see if I have. Oh yeah, here. Let's compare. Let's see the difference. Theo Violet. I didn't mean to make a color wheel here, you know, or else I'd have tried to put it in some kind of a order. All I'm doing is just trying to get them in the same general vicinity. But it looks like I'm trying to make some fancy color wheel here. So that's the Theo Violet that Grumbacher makes. This is also Grumbacher. Let's see the difference with Alizarin Crimson. I'm curious. I'm going to do this for myself. As far as I'm concerned, they both are magenta. That's the common color. That the common name that I would give the color for the sake of all practical purposes, because I use that color to get brighter purples and undo green, to take green out of a mix. All right, so now I'm ready to start building my, white. I need white. That's the last color. Let's put white on there. And so I have to set the stage here with a real bright sky, because I'm thinking that I want, here, let's put some white. Let's put like white right here in the middle, and then maybe put a few extra patches, because what always happens with my white, oh, it's so thick, this titanium white. What always happens is I start using my patch of white for one color, and then it contaminates the whole batch, and I can't use it for other colors. So I'm just going to get myself ready here right at the beginning with a few different spots of it, so you know I'll have different options for what color I contaminate that white with. The brush I'm using, oh man, I almost did a repeat just now of what happened the other day. I can't put my weight. You'd think I would be smart enough to fix that. I've got blocks under blocks to get this table to just the height that I need it. Ugh. We don't want that spill to happen again. So let's flip the camera over. Oh man, COVID is not a lie. That is so wrong. A couple people we know here just died. I have to respect the losses that are there. We have some serious trouble from that around here. Although I don't want to live my life with a mask on my face and in fear. I definitely don't want to go that extreme, but I respect the people that are experiencing the loss. Okay, now see if there's any last minute questions before I go here. Let's flip over to the other camera. We've got Canon. Let's go like that. And cut to here. We're zoomed in on the picture. Now this is what I'm going to do. Is start building out this cloud some more. And the way I'll do that, right here, we're going to go like this. I want nice bright clouds, and I'm thinking that for a real good backlit effect. Here, let's go up. I left off on these clouds last time. Let's scoot the camera up just a bit, and I'll use pure white, and we'll say that the sun, where did I put the sun? You know, we're just going to put the sun somewhere up here in the middle, so that'll be pure white. My brightest color possible. I'm going to put that on first while my brush is still clean and it's not going to get the other colors in it. So this will be my bright sunspot right here. And And so as I was just rethinking, is that where I want to put it? Oh man, I'm the king of second guessing myself. Okay, bright sunny patch right there. So if this is my brightest spot, then I need to have this get darker. I need to have this get darker so that that looks like a bright sunny patch. And I'm not going to want blue in here now. So this is a little different than the setup that I had when I first started. I was not imagining that sun blasting out from behind the cloud, but the more I thought about it, I was like, oh yeah, that would be cool. So now I need to change the sky a bit, because you know, this bright sun making all this orange light in the clouds would not leave a very blue sky. So I'll grab some black, and what I'm thinking is I'm going to save this smaller brush for details, maybe not hit it with black at the moment, and I'll get this. This one is, I think, just a bit wider. At least it looks like it. And I'm going to grab some black and start making a darker sky. You wouldn't think of making a sky with black and white, but that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I think probably a bit of orange, because I want it to look like there's some sunset colored light in this sky. So to set the stage, I need all my little water drops that I'm going to put in this picture to look very bright, very illuminated by the light that's coming from behind. And so I've got to make a dark enough backdrop that that's going to show up. You know, because it does, if I'm putting a bright white on top of an already bright background, it's just not going to have an illuminated look. So it's important that I get nice and dark with this sky, which is an interesting thing, how using these dark colors makes for a brighter looking picture, because we can always just shine a bright light on it. We can always just display a piece. You know what I'm trying to say is when you display your painting, it's easy to shine a light on it as bright as you need it to be in order to get your overall brightness. But it's the relationship between the colors that is the real difference maker in the picture. Now I would like to see more color. See this is where I use what I call a transition color. Not a midtone, not to be confused with a midtone. I want you to just look real close here at how the white is turning very grayish right in here where it mixes. So this is a problem with paint that does not happen with light. So we see colors of light being mixed. And I'm just going to flip back over and just keep one eye on the live chat while I'm explaining this, because what happens, I think this could generate maybe some good questions. But what happens with paint is that there are tiny little particles that are overlapping, and you know, just like when you put different colored lenses on top of each other. Look, I have these cool things that my mom gave me. So this is a quick little crash course on the difference between filtering light versus just what people might call additive color mixing. I think there could be better words. But when I just put colors on top of colors, you know, I'm going to get a greenish color when I put that yellow behind the blue. You know, here, let's move it over here where there's some white behind it. You can see much more turquoise. When I take it out, it's more blue. So that's why we get green with yellow and blue paint, because it's doing this. But when they're side by side in close proximity, and then these become tiny little dots that are distributed like you have with a computer screen, you've got pixels. And so if you've got a pixel that has the red and green making yellow, you've got a pixel that's got the blue. This just puts all of those primaries, red, green, blue, together. You get gray. So light is similar. The way light mixes is not by filtering. There's nothing on top of something else blocking the colors. That's why we get this effect with paint, because you know, we have a color on top of a color. Here we've got the magenta on top of the yellow, making this a lot more red, and if I take it out, then that's not the best. Not the best example. I don't have a bright light behind me, but you can see what I mean. You know, with these blocks. I'm gonna stop killing time with those things. Maybe I'll do a video in the future that does a better job. The difference between just seeing the average of everything side by side or seeing things on top of things. This is paint or some other medium that has tiny particles that are inevitably transparent because they're so small. Then we get filtering happening. So what's happening with this is that when we have different colors coming together, they give us a different result, and this result is too gray. And so I have to add color back in, color that would not be lost if it was light mixing. And I want this to look like light, not like paint. So I'm adding back what was lost. That's, after all of that mumbo jumbo speech about light and paint, this is the only thing you got to remember. We're adding back in what was lost when the paint mixed, because paint mixing removes color that light mixing does not. So let's go like this. Let's put this orange in to restore that color. And so, oh, I used the brush I didn't want to use. Oh well, I can always wash it. So let's grab some orange, put it right here in the transition. This is why I call it a transition color, because it's helping the transition between one color and another to look right. You know, look the way I want it to look. Maybe right is not the best word for that. So I put it in here to restore the color that got filtered out. And we also have a shifting hue here. You can see that my shadow, if you had to choose a color of the rainbow where the darker color is, I would say that it's shifting away from, well, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that. If I make it shift toward yellow as it gets brighter, that's gonna enhance the effect, make it look better. I stopped my sentence because I was thinking, well, I don't really have it shifting toward yellow yet, but I do have this brighter color, and that helps a lot. This brighter color restoring the lost color that's in the transition. So here's my bright sun. I'm leaving the middle completely white, and then I come in here and start mixing this color into my more brownish color. It's really just a light brown. It's just a very light brown. That's the color of the sky here to get a nice sunset like scheme. So if it's a blue sky, then the blue can bind with this orange light. We're going to get a very gray color, because blue and yellow on a computer screen, or blue and yellow using the primaries, I just use those as a reference to understand what light would do, because it's mixing real light. So blue and yellow make gray. Just remember, with light, blue and yellow make gray. So if we have orange and blue, maybe it'd be like a light gray violet. But I'm just going to put a much grayer sky as it moves away, so that it looks like we've got that color of light bursting out in front of an otherwise blue sky. This is how I think through this color scheme. And then we're going to go over here and see what we've got. See if anybody wants to do more boring color science talk. Yes, it's a skateboard. It is. Will you be sealing the painting? Yeah, I think I will. This one, it'll be a good idea to seal it. I'll probably use a water-based polyurethane instead of oil, just because it doesn't turn yellow over time. You know, oil-based products tend to turn more yellowish over time. Okay, great explanation. Was it? Thank you, Leanne, thank you, because I feel like I'm just a madman sometimes when I hear the words coming out of my mouth. Can you do this special effect with acrylic too? Yes, absolutely, yeah. Same process. The colors don't do different things, you know, oil, water. The colors do the same thing when they mix, maybe to different extremes because you have different strengths to the pigments, but the effect, it's the same process, you just have to race the dry time. So I'm going to switch cameras and continue. Yes, more boring color stuff. All right. Well, we'll keep it coming. It made total sense. Okay, good. Good. All right. So now I'm going to go back over here, switch cameras so that you can see what I'm doing again. And I put all that orange in there to restore. You know, the way I think of it is restoring what was lost from my, you know, I have my vision. I'm imagining the scene coming together. I'm imagining this orange colored light bursting through my otherwise blue sky. And so as I create it, I'm just trying to create it, but with the same process that nature would create it. But then when I run into that problem, that's why I refer to it as restoring the lost color, because I have this problem I run into when the paint mixes and filters out color that would still be there if it were light. So let's grab black and get this darker. I want this to be darker, darker, darker as it moves away from that sun. So that's why I just grabbed more black and I'm putting it down here. I'm going to get more still. Black right there, a little more. Really get, you would not think that you'd want to use all that black for a sky, but I can get quite a bit darker in this picture and still be all right. As long as it gets lighter and lighter, consistently lighter is what I'm looking for, so that I really get the effects of light on this sky. And then that splash of color right where it's moving toward the sun, hopefully just finishes it off and really accomplishes the look that I'm after. Let's put some of this up in here as well. Now I need some real bright edges on my clouds. So now that I've set the stage, I want to see some pure white. So let me just rinse this out with my thinner. I have this to remind me. You know, I have the paint thinner in my Best Dad cup because it reminds me of what I want to be. I don't want to be a dad that leaves thinner in my children's sippy cups or children's cups, because that was a terrible accident that I did that day. And I will never do it again. Let me just warn you. Be very careful about what kind of cups you leave your thinner in, or where you set it. I did a double mistake that day. I put it in a cup that my daughter was going to drink out of, and I left it on the coffee table within her reach while I grabbed some groceries. Man, I can't tell you how many times I have just thanked God for that, for my daughter still being here today. We had to rush her to the ER. She thought it was chocolate milk. Now I'm going to go like this, some pure white, and now that I've cleaned my brush, I'm hoping I'll get a nice bright edge on this. Now this can be hard. This can be hard to accomplish once you've got some color on your canvas. Then the white almost just has no power at all. As soon as it hits that color, it just it gets sucked away, all the brightness of the white. But it looks like I've got the paint thin enough. You saw me spreading that and spreading that. My goal was to really thin that paint out and leave a thin enough layer that it was not going to immediately take over the color of the white when I put it on there. So here I just added more white to where I want the sun, and I'm not going to make like a circle sun. I'm just making a bright spot, like maybe the sun is behind this cloud and we just see the edge of it making a very bright spot right here. So it's going to get lighter, or darker rather, darker as it travels along this edge, and then we begin to see the edge of that cloud as the colors are just different enough as the cloud comes out this way. So then I'll come over here and put white on this edge. I'm just redefining the edge of these big stormy clouds. And so as I travel down away from away from this light. Watch, I'll just grab a small amount of yellow and start mixing it with this white. And I don't like yellow by itself, but with a little bit of orange, that color is just perfect to start showing the light dimming just a bit as it goes down here. So we get that bright edge. And since I can only go so bright with this, this is why it's so important. See, this is getting darker as I add color. This is why it's so important to have a dark enough sky that I get that glow effect. So I'm putting my orange and yellow together in here as I travel further from the light. This is the trick that I'm using, is moving it away from yellow toward purple. Toward purple. I'm not mixing purple. So if you think of a rainbow, red, start from yellow, orange, red, yellow, orange, red, purple. Think of it in that order. That's what I mean when I say I'm moving toward. So we've got that bright edge there. I think it'll be good if I put another one here. All these clouds need to have a nice bright edge on them. So let's put it around here as well. And everywhere I've got a cloud, we'll put that bright outline on it. I always feel like there needs to be some good sounds when I'm painting edges and lines that I like. An effect that I really like the look of. I imagine the light making a sound as it moves at some imaginable speed. Crashing. Reality is so different, but for whatever reason, the creative process seems to really rely on a new set of physics where things make sounds that don't. I love it. Okay, we're putting white around this edge like this. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'll move that white toward orange as it's getting further and further from that light. So this will be the brightest spot. I'll keep this just about pure white. And then I'll start adding my orange as it goes down into here. So just a little. I don't want to go too crazy with that. Let me get rid of the excess orange there. This is really, in a nutshell, or maybe I should say on a skateboard, this is how I make paint look like light. This is the answer. It's understanding that paint, every time I do any effect where I'm making paint look like light, it's employing this principle, this rule, that paint removes color that light does not remove when it mixes. So it has to be restored, and this is why I add the color. And then that shift of hue stands apart as a different effect. Shift of hue meaning how I get toward yellow as it gets brighter, toward violet as it gets darker. That's how I create an effect of light shining through something instead of bouncing off of something. So we have two different effects simultaneously getting the look of these big backlit clouds. So then to further prove my point, why don't we just see behind this red flower? This will be a good spot to shift the hue as it gets darker. It's going to get darker still. So why don't I grab another brush and put some of my red on there. So now we went yellow, orange, red. We're going toward the purple, and that red is going to mix with these other colors. It doesn't need to be a pure bright red, but watch how this is going to look like a thicker cloud. Not as much light is shining through this part of the cloud. And the way I can control that to whatever I want it to look like is by understanding that if I want this cloud to become heavier and block more light, then I'm going to shift the color toward purple. It's toward red. You know, you could say I'm shifting it toward orange. You could say I'm shifting it toward red. But understanding that purple is the end. That is the end color that I'm shifting toward. So that's why I always just say I'm going toward violet. Then I can even take some of this red and put little puffies in here. Add some detail to the cloud. Look, just little dots of red. And then I blend them this way. So I've just got the ever so slight suggestion of some texture, some three-dimensional texture in that cloud. Okay, we've got it shifting toward red, and now watch this. I'll grab some blue, just a teeny weeny bit of this blue, and I'll put it right here and start blending that into the red. It's going to get a much darker color here. Let's grab more red. That blue is powerful. When it hits that red, it just destroys it. So now we've got red and blue making a dark purple, and that's what I want because all of this is shifting toward purple as it gets to its darkest, where you can no longer see through it. So I'll put some little puffies up in here. So look at this effect that I can do where I have the bluer little puffs on top of the red. I have the more red little puffs on top of the orange. I could put the more orange puffs on top of the yellow, and I could put the yellow on top of the white, you know, so I could have a very intricate display of this color pattern. I'm not going to try to do that all here, but the pattern remains true, and you can take it to whatever extreme you want to see it existing in your picture. It will reliably produce the effect of translucency, light shining through something instead of just bouncing off. So I was thinking that it might be cool if I had this like coming together and maybe opening up again one last little time. You know, we've got one little gap in the clouds down here, so I'll put this paint coming down here, grab some more of my red, grab some white, and put one last little spot opening up behind the two petals of this flower, like this. Okay. Now I'm almost ready to start doing little water drops, but I just wanted to get this all set up. Okay, we've got this color. Oh look, I've got red in my brush. I can just bring it right up here, get a softer gradient right here. That was convenient. You know, sometimes there's a color in my brush, and it's good, you know, when you've got a color in your brush to scan the painting, see if there's any places that color's needed before you switch to another one, you know. So I just wanted to have the clouds kind of closing in over the top of this little spot here. Just coming right over here. And then leaving a little gap in there. I don't know, I just thought it'd be a fun little hole in the cloud. All right, there we are. And so I'm going to rinse this brush a bit, and what I'm thinking now is that up higher on the sky, let's go up here, I think it would be cool. I might be biting off more than I can chew here. I doubt that I'll get this like all tidied up and finished before the end of the video, but I can't resist this. I've got to put a leaf coming across here with the sun blasting through it. I'm going to use that same rule of shifting hues that I'm constantly talking about, because if I had to pick one thing that really transformed my work, then it's that rule of shifting hues. Just understanding, it dawned on me one day that there was a predictable pattern to the colors that were, because the way I approached painting learning to paint was I want to achieve that effect. I know that my eyes are detecting something, you know, just picking up on a pattern. That's why I know when I see a leaf with the light shining through, I know instantly that's light shining through a leaf, because there's, you know, there's like programming on autopilot going on, and just boom, you instantly know what you're looking at. I started picking up on that pattern. I was like, now, you know, I think what's happening here is that this is always shifting toward the next color or away from that color to produce this effect. So I started testing it out in my paintings. Boom, everything changed. Everything changed for me. And so this is something I talk about a lot, because I want you to also have that awesome tool that it's been for me. I just want to take a look and see if we're talking about anything important here. Cool backlit clouds. Thank you, Leanne. That's very nice to hear. I'm just scanning the comments, seeing if there's anything. I know there's like a 10-second delay, so I'm going to leave it there for a minute. I'll glance over here in a minute and see if there's anything that we want to talk about, get answered while I'm painting a leaf. So I want some yellow. Sorry, I've got my got all this racket going on. I've got a leaf. I mean, I've got the box left from those blocks that I was overlapping. What I'm going to do here is switch cameras again. So just give me a second, switch back over here. That's the part of the skateboard we'll be looking at. Love the greens. Thank you, Teresa. Very nice of you to say. This is what I always wanted. Explosive, brilliant sky. You know, it's just so dramatic, isn't it? When you see a sky with light bursting out, it's just a look. It's a look that I just had to have. I was like, I need to be able to create that whenever I want. This is the purpose of my life. I need to be able to do that. I can help you with leaves. Oh, Daniel. Yes, you can. Oh, man. Daniel, man. Daniel painted so many leaves for me. He was an amazing help as we were doing the farmer's market mural. You got to look up the farmer's market mural. Thank you, Daniel. It's always nice to know you're there, buddy. Always nice to know. You're such an amazing help to me. Okay, now we're going to put the yellow right here, and we're going to put some black on there in order to get a leaf that has the light shining through it. So I want to put the leaf right in here like this. Who knows what kind of leaf that is? I just need something to look at. And the way I'm going to have this be a leaf that has the light shining through it is shift the green toward yellow, just like I shifted all of the reds toward yellow. So with green, it makes it simple. All you do is add some yellow to it. I don't have to do anything fancy to shift that toward yellow. Now it needs some green. So I'm a little on the earthy olive green kind of side here. So let's move it a little more toward this bright green. I want a real vibrant color scheme to this. So as long as it is visibly more yellow where I have the light shining through, where it's brighter and where there's more light. So now I'm going to put white on there because I need it to be bright enough as well. So in order to make this really stand apart, really stand out, we're going to put this leaf right there. And I'm just deciding right now, how big do I want to make this leaf? Let's go like this. Let's try a shape that's maybe going up like this. I'm not sure what shape to make it. You know, I'm just imagining a three-dimensional leaf coming down here. Well, I think if water's hitting it, it's got to be like, boom. Let's make it like this. Let's make it curling down. Sorry, making decisions here. Let's make the end curling down like this. And then we've got our brighter yellow or green. Let's add some more yellow in there. Right there. So now if I grab some black, watch, this will be a fun effect. I'll grab some black here. Do I have a darker brush already? No. And let's make veins in this leaf going like this. So what I did was I drug that through the green, so I have kind of a greenish color here. And then I'm going to go like this. I'm going to drag that black up here. Let's get more of it right here. Hopefully we'll be able to let's get a little more perspective. Man, everybody has experienced trouble with perspective. That is one thing that's always a challenge. Just getting good, believable perspective on your picture. So what I'm doing is putting some black veins in, and they're darker and they're greener. That's what it is. Or let's just say they're less yellow in order to look like the light is shining through them. So I'm gonna switch to painting the negative space on this. Oh man, I just realized I'm blocking the painting with my hand. Well, you got to tell me when I do that. Hang on a minute. Hang on, I'm going to be careful. I'm going to keep my hand down like this so that you can see what I'm painting. Okay, so I want good perspective on this leaf. And so I really need to focus on this shape. So sometimes it's easier to switch to the negative space. So I'll go in here and start painting these colors, and I can squish these shapes together by just painting the space in between right here. It really helps having a plan, you know. I've noticed that as I progress in my understanding of what makes one look stand apart from another, that I have a more planned approach. When I go to a painting without a plan, it's fun being creative, but problems happen, and sometimes fixing those problems is no small task. And so putting these veins strategically, you know, black is a powerful color, and having this workflow, putting the green and then just dragging this little bit of black through there, I'm thinking ahead, like it's going to be a problem if I get a lot of black on there, and I'm not going to be able to brighten up my yellow again. So I'm working with a very thin layer of paint in order to achieve this effect. So I'm going to go like this and bring this edge up a little bit more, because I feel like my perspective will look better if this leaf comes down more like this. A little wider on this side, because this one I want to be the further away side. Like that. And now I think I can probably afford to put just a small amount more of this black in here. And let's go like that. Let's put a vein going here. Boy, me and Daniel, we studied leaves. Boy, did we study leaves to do that mural. Daniel, you should post the link to that video just in case somebody doesn't know what video I'm referring to. I have to hold my hand here. So the veins, they go off of the main stem, and then very similar to a butterfly's wings, actually. The priority direction of these is out from the veins that go toward the point. So I'm making these all go out like this. You know, there's a real identifiable, real predictable pattern to these. And they're usually a bit offset, you know, so I'll put this vein going that way. I'll put this one a little further down the stem than this one. Let's go like that. Put this one a little further down. Details. All right. And that's good for them to kind of be, obscured and and less defined as I move toward the end of that leaf. Like perhaps they're just teeny tiny little things. I always feel like if you give the imagination enough, it'll build the rest. So what I'm going to do is I want this leaf to be down up. So this, this is like the underside of a boat. This comes down the lowest. And I've got the light shining this way. I'm imagining the light hitting this side more. So what I'll do is take this yellow and brighten up this area. Boom, right here. Like this is really facing toward the sun. It always amazes me how quickly we can put together, I've heard person after person talk about, I can't visualize it like you can visualize it. And I get that. I understand that. It's amazing to me though, how once it's painted, something that you just could never describe the pattern of is immediately recognized. It just creates the perspective and the three-dimensional shape is perceived. It's all put together and understood by these patterns. That's all I do, is I just use those patterns that I observe in order to create the exact thing, trying to create the exact thing that I'm imagining. I like to have control. So here I'm imagining it curling down this way, so maybe we don't see as much. So there's more of a shadow here. And this is my brightest spot where it's facing toward the light. Let's get plenty of bright color in there. Like this. And then that gives me a fun place to splash some water off of, maybe as it's coming down and hitting that leaf. Now I'm thinking I want to go a bit more black and green on this side. Let's darken this back part of the leaf here. I'm going to put this half a little darker than that other half, so that it looks like there's create that visible change in lighting on this leaf. Trying to get it just different enough that we can really see it. Okay, right here. I lost a few of the little veins, but at least I'm liking the effect that I've got now. That's coming together. How about some blue? Let's really enhance this effect. Put blue on that leaf. That'll darken the green and at the same time shift it further away from yellow. Two things that I'm trying to do with this color. So here it's tipping downward. And I think that, let's see here, we've got it kind of going down that way. This one, maybe I want to go just a little bit more gray on that one. Here, that's blue, not gray. Let's add some tiny bit. Remember how I said this undoes green? So instead of trying to add, the reason I want gray is because I want to put some of the light reflecting. If this is kind of folding up on this side, then I want to see some light reflecting off of this edge. So magenta, this is magenta that I'm putting in here. So this is where I use magenta to undo green. Let's put this here, put this here. And the reason I'm undoing the green is because I'm thinking of the color of the sky reflecting off of that, making a more grayish color where the colors are mixing. Somewhat of an experiment. I'm not sure how well it's going to work. Here, let's put some up in here too. If this leaf is kind of bending down more here, let's put some of that magenta color and put just the edge of it more reflective. Gray color is like more reflective. So the goal is to bring it down this way. Okay, maybe just a couple more veins and then we're going to call it good on that leaf for the moment. I can always just toy with it later, you know, and try to really dial it in. Let's go like this. Just trying to get some darker veins on there. All right, I'm happy with that. I like the way that leaf looks. Sorry, I'm covering up the I keep covering it up. I'm sorry, guys. Reading the live chat. That's why I'm quiet right now. Yes, coming to life. Thank you, Wings and Things. Good to see you here. No, I won't be using the won't be using this skateboard. This will never get ridden. Well, I don't know. Maybe someday it will. All right. How about some of those darker colors on this side too? Let's go. Like this. Boy, this is a task for my brain, this one, because I'm trying to think of the veins of leaves generally pointed toward the tip of the leaf, but then flattened by the perspective and the curve, the three-dimensional curve of the leaf. So one rule says the line is pointing this direction. The other rule says it's pointing the opposite. So it's kind of one undoes the other and making me really trip out here. I wonder if my good old buddy Vince Ross is out there watching. I hope he is at the moment. I'll never forget. He helped me on a job over in Virginia. Man, that was a great time we had together. Over in Richmond, Virginia. We're in the hotel room just talking about life after the end of a long day. And I was like, man, I just think about this all the time. I just never stop. I don't watch much TV because I'm just thinking about color, just trying to figure stuff out. And he's like, dude, you got to watch more wrestling. That's the answer. You just got to relax. He was saying the answer to relaxation, you just got to watch wrestling. Just watch wrestling, man. I never forget that. Maybe there's something to that. Okay. Putting my last little perfectionist touches on there to try to really enhance the glow. So man, that was a very technical thing there, that leaf. And watch, I can flip up this. Here, one last little thing. I'm going to keep the brush down so hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Right on this edge, if I want that to flip up and catch the light again, let's grab some white and yellow, shift that color back to yellow again. Right here, wherever I want that edge to flip up toward the light. And then if the shape of it follows the perspective, you know, we've got two things telling the same story. We get that little edge just flipping up and catching the light again. Let's go like this, scramble up the shapes, make a gradient so that it's just kind of bending up on that edge again. Now to make a water drop in the sky, this is where I'm gonna cover up this background. I think it'd be cool to put more of these in, but I don't want to kill a bunch of time doing the same kind of content for the sake of the video. So what I'll do on the rest of this is just cover this. Let me just get the tip of the skateboard on camera here, like so. And I'm going to just fill the rest of this for now with my gray sky color because I want to just put water coming down. And so I'll put my white, and let's put some black. We just need some sky behind this leaf now. I'm hoping that this will really bring it all together, getting rid of that wood color of the skateboard. Bringing this right down to the edge. Hopefully we'll just finish it off and make this look like a cohesive, illuminated scene instead of just a blob of paint on a skateboard here. We're always trying to cross that boundary. You know, we're always trying to cross that threshold in a painting where it ceases to look like the brush strokes and begins to look like something else that we're imagining. This is what it is to create. Let's grab a whole bunch of this white. I need a lot of it. We've got our orange color down here. Let's blend that better. Right here we've got more white, so I'll put more orange. See that gray color? Boom, just blast it with orange. I got to be careful not to go too far into my white spot with this dirty brush. That'll totally destroy this illuminated effect that I've got going. So now we're just putting the sky color up in here, black moving to orange as it gets brighter. Just give me a couple minutes here to splash this with color. Splash. We're going to splash this. No pun intended. But I do want to make this look like a big splashy scene. You know, I'm going to put water bouncing everywhere. Bouncing off of this leaf, hopefully. Okay, there's my sky. And it's probably a good idea not to get too crazy with my exact color blending at the moment, because there's a good chance I'll change my mind, put something else in there. So I'm just going to get 80% here. We're going to put it close to the edges, get the look that I'm after. I'll probably want to complete that cloud there. Let's get this color over here. I'm just trying to evenly distribute. I'm imagining a soft ring around this sunlit spot so that I have my gradient happening along the same line. Grabbing some pure white, I'm going to put the edge of this cloud in place. Make sure we've got that bright lining effect on the cloud. Why do people call it a silver lining, you know? When they say the cloud has a silver lining, it's never silver. I've never seen silver. It's always some shade of orange to me, never silver. So then we can just put a small amount of our brightest colors, yellow, orange. I'll just squeeze that up in here by the edge, but leave the pure white right at the edge. I just want to see this cloud look a little more completed before I start putting those water drops in front of it. Then we need some red, which I can just shortcut to by using this magenta. That's going to make a cloudy red. We'll call it cloudy red. It's a cloud picture. Man, oil. It is just so forgiving, just so easy to blend. I just won't get over that. But I don't mean to downplay the difficulty of adjusting the colors. It is very difficult, you know. Having time is one thing, but once you get more paint than you want onto that canvas and it starts to look like mud, that I totally understand how that can be very frustrating. Oh, I like that red glow that has. Isn't that cool? I'm gonna drag those colors together a little more to have it less violet. All that area that looks kind of purpley. I'm just gonna pull these together a bit more until I lose some of that purple color. Then maybe just a spot of blue, just a tiny bit to create a shadow on that kind of orangey brown color there. Okay, now I think we're ready. Now we're ready to put some water drops. So here's how I do it. I just want to put, and you know what I'm going to do is really zoom in. So this is where we'll start. I want you to see this real nice and close now. So let's go maybe up in here, right by the fairy's head. That's funny. That was a previous project there, the fairy petting a dragon. We'll work on that one more in the future. And then I'm going to switch the camera for just a moment and go over here and check out what's going on the live chat. Yeah, change the cloud. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Beatrice. Thank you. You know, you get, as an artist, you said, you know, painting clouds, responding to clouds is your specialty. It is definitely like a first love of mine. It was the first thing that I successfully posted a how-to video on YouTube about, and got repeat views. People were interested in it. It wasn't that great of a video. Actually, if you look at my oldest video, how to paint a cloud, how to paint clouds, something like that. You could tell it's the oldest one because my hair is big. The video is low quality. And I almost got my hand bit off by a dog in that video, by the homeowner's dog. Anyway, back to clouds. I don't feel like it is my specialty. I don't feel like, although it's one of the first things that I was striving to master, because it just makes painting so great for me if I can just get the clouds the way I want them to be. I'm imagining all of the magic that I see in clouds. I'm imagining it in my painting, and it's so frustrating to have all of that in my imagination and not be able to get it on canvas. So it's like, I got to find these answers. And that was when I set out on a mission. Really, it was because of clouds, because of trying to do clouds. I set out on a mission to answer the questions that I had that were holding me back from putting my imagination on the canvas. So it was like a first love, doing the clouds. And then water was the next battle. Love it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Just a bit more to the right, as otherwise chat covers the painting. So you want to move that a little more to, we can do that here. We can do that. Won't hurt anything. Let's go like that. You can't see the palette anyway. And so here's what I'll do. We'll switch over. And I'm going to show you how to paint a water droplets right there in the middle of that sky. And I'm just switching, sorry for the ear shot there. I'm just switching the screen over so that I can read the live chat. Thank you very much, Locksme, for the compliment. That's too much. Too much. Val says, thank you for the color shift explanation. All right, you're welcome. That changed my life, you know. Okay, so the way I'll handle the water drop is, since I have a wet, this is going to make my job so much easier, since I'm starting with the wet canvas. All I need for a water drop just floating in space here is maybe a blue-gray. And I want the light to come through. So here's what happens with the water drop. And I'm going to paint a blue-gray on here while I'm talking. The highlight that we'll see in a water drop is on the opposite side as the light source. So it goes through it and bounces off the inside of the drop, and this creates an effect of the light being on the opposite side. So here I've got this blue. I'm adding some black. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but it's black, blue, white, and a little bit of magenta. If I make a circle like this right here, that's a water drop. But what it's missing right now is the gradient. So I want the bright spot to be, let me get a lighter brush now. So let's get a new brush where I can do some nice light colors. I need to have this real bright white up here, opposite, but it's almost in the middle because look, this is almost directly in front of the sun, so it's all going to be very close to middle. But I definitely want to see a bright, pure white just to the upper left of middle because the source is to the lower right of middle, so just opposite. So I could put it in the middle and be just fine, but to be specific about the pattern here, this is what I'm doing. So then I'll turn this into a gradient. All of this in here, let's blend that away. Make this get darker and darker as it goes to the edge. Like this. And that gradient that has that bright dot in the middle, specifically opposite the source. And then it's very important to have that shift. I want to see that same shift in the hue. So let's maybe grab just a touch of yellow for effect. And here we want this bright color to move away from yellow toward purple as it goes toward the edges of this drop. And we don't want any green. We got to get rid of green if it starts showing up. So I saw a little bit of yellow hit that blue. I'm just going to grab some red like that. And make sure that I do not see any green. But actually, I would see some green if it was reflecting that leaf. Just depends on where it is, you know, in depth. So if I want to put that in, I can. So we've got all the colors of the sunset in here. And they're scrunched into a circular gradient that just comes to a bright middle. And the shadow is all the way around the edge. That is going to be a reflective edge. Let's put that bright dot right in there. I'm moving it a little further over. Let's get this orange. Boy, we blasted this one with color. Lots of color in there. And then we can make a couple more. So if I want to put a reflection, I can do that. Let's grab a green. Let's use this brush. And so I know you can't see my palette, but all I'm going to do is grab a small dab of green that's just green and yellow mixed, just something like this leaf. I'm mixing that same color. A lot of yellow. And grab some white with it. And let's just put a little dot right here. The edge is what reflects, not the middle. I don't put reflection there, the edge. And since we've got a leaf right here, let's just go chunk like that. Just a little bit of green. So now it looks like, you know, it kind of sets the depth according to what things I reflect off of it. And it's convenient that it has some red in there too for this flower down at the bottom. But I think I went too extreme on the colors in the middle there. So let's just tone it down a smidge. I'll grab some white and start blending this. There we go. Doesn't that look nicer? Doesn't that look nicer? I just get a little bit of the color intensity out. So I got to kind of land on the right one. And so then I can make more. Let's grab more of my blue-gray color. So here's black, blue, magenta. Here's what my little mixing patch looks like down here, okay? It's that blue patch right here. This is what I'm mixing. That's what I'm using for the drops. I'll put another one right next to this one. Let's go like this. Now I think the fun thing, once the stage is set, I can just make circles that would otherwise not be interpreted as drops, but once I have a couple real good looking ones, you can kind of ride on the momentum of the things that are painted well, and you could put other things in there that immediately get interpreted as the same thing because of that one. So what if we put water like splashing off of this leaf? Watch this. I'm going to do more with those little drops I painted, but right here, I'm going to put water splashing right off of this leaf. B from the leaf. Not a bad idea. Water droplets are not complete spheres. They wobble as they move through the air. Well, I think the odds are at some point they're going to turn into a circle. Okay, so talking about things that are not complete spheres, let's put some water splashing. So if I want the effect of splashing water, I'm just going to mess with the shape here and remember that water, since it has surface tension, then it's gonna want to like close together. It's going to, that was not the right way to say that. It's going to have beads on the ends of strands. Maybe not real extremely, but everywhere I have, a strand coming out, I'll widen it a little bit, like it's pulling apart. So wherever I have an end on these shapes. So I want to try to make it like this. This is just getting blasted right now with some water and it's splashing out. So I'm going to take your advice. We're not going to make these perfect circles. I'm going to make these like it's splashing and coming closer. Try to make it three-dimensional. I'm starting with my dark color, and what I intend to do is fill that in with a background color. Let's put a drop kind of coming off the side. I always think it's good in a picture to put it going off of the edge. I like to see the picture going off the edge, like it didn't pose for the camera all perfect. You know what I mean? Now we need all different sizes in there, so let's do little teensy weensy dots. And let's put one in here, like this. That is a good idea not to do them just perfectly round. Then we'll put little tiny ones in here, like this is splashing away now. If it's hitting this leaf, boom, I want it to be splashing away. So I'll make sure I put some smaller shapes on this side. Think about the perspective. Right here, coming down this way. When I first started painting a picture, trying to tackle the technicality of painting water, close-up of water splitting apart and splashing in the light, it was an overwhelming thought. It was like, no, man, water is chaotic. How can you keep track of everything that's happening? But the more I researched, the more I just added little bits, just new bits of information to what I was observing every day. You might surprise yourself what you're capable of memorizing and actually using, with just a gradual process of identifying patterns and understanding that the key to reproducing what we see is in finding the patterns. Find the patterns that are getting recognized. Okay, so now everywhere I've got a shape, I make sure that the ends of every little shape have these rounded little beads. I don't have any spikes, no spikes. So a good example is that, see this little point coming off? I made sure to put that little dot right there. And then, here I don't want to have a little point here. Maybe I need to have that either connect or have a rounded shape. I don't want spikes if I want this to look like water pulling apart. Now I can always add more to that, but this is just so fun and satisfying when I get to the painting the background into it again. So now I'm going to take my orange and white and start restoring the background in here. And so everywhere I imagine a shape, a three-dimensional round colored shape, then I'm going to put the brightest spot. So here I see these little beads. This bead I want kind of wrapping off the leaf and coming toward me like this. And so the light is here. I'm going to put the highlight way up here on that. But it's going to look like a surface reflection. It's going to look like light coming down, bouncing off the top if I don't color it. But if I color it, so let's get that yellow, then the color makes it going through the water and not bouncing off the top of the water like this. There we go. Now we've got that color in there. So now I can put lots of white right in the middle of that colored area. Then put some right here. Same thing, the brightest spot is just opposite. It's like a miniature painting, you know. It's like a miniature picture of the whole scene, but mirror like opposite with the light the opposite direction. Okay, let's go like this. You hear how I quickly changed the subject when I was having a hard time finishing that sentence. I didn't want to look dumb. We've got a water drop here getting brighter and more orange as it goes, as it moves away from the light. Same thing here. Let's put plenty of that light color right in there. Right here. Let's put some here. And as soon as it loses the color, that's when I lose that effect of the light go blasting through the water, is when it loses its color. So I've got to remember to keep the color. What is the color of the light? I need that orange in there. And then I need that real bright highlight. Boom, boom. Make a double one because I've got kind of a double shape to this. Like two circles that are merged together on this drop. My brush kind of scrapes off the blue, this gray blue, as I apply the white. So I keep coming back over to my palette as I'm painting. So down here, you know, I keep discarding my paint. This is what I'm doing as I work. Here, I'm going to work in this section for just a little bit. Sorry for shaking the camera like that. So, you know, I'll come in here and I'll put orange on like this, put it in here, then I'll wipe it off right here. And what this does is it removes blue. Since I'm not working heavy, there's not a whole lot of paint to remove. So by putting one color on, it simultaneously removes another color. So I have this interesting pattern when I do this. You know, I've got the light down here, but then that light is not illuminating this edge that it's facing. You would think it'd be the opposite. You would think that you would have a real bright spot right here. But the nature of water changes this. Here we actually have a dark edge where that light is coming through it. We have a dark edge like a silhouette, and then this blends as that angle of the surface of this water changes. It starts letting the light come through right there. And that's how I get that effect of little water drops. Let's put water right. Light, I mean, let's put light coming through that one right there. Right through here. And you can see I've got a very gray color, so look at this. This at the moment may not look as illuminated, right? Because I don't have all the color in these. So, you know, maybe I have some of the elements there to make it look like water drops, but not all. I need the color. So it's a good halfway finished drop to be able to observe that difference, the difference that it really makes. Now these drops, here I'm going to clean my brush. These little guys, I want these to look good because they're right at the focal point of the sky. I feel is maybe that sunspot. So I'm going to blend these out, get that paint off the canvas, and really lighten this. And since I want this so blown out with color, I'm going to put some orange in there. Shift this color more. Just because, not because I know it would be that color, but since these are just little and they're right in front of the sun, I want to have that like overexposed look where you can just barely see the tiniest bit of color, and I'm making that more orange so it looks like it's just wrapped up in that light. And then we'll put bright white right here in the middle of it. So not having that dark color, hopefully this will make these drops look a lot more just overexposed, kind of blown out, so you just barely see those little circles. And I think they need some color. You know, we got to have that little bit of color in there for this to work right. So I'm going around the edge of that white, just adding just enough orange. It's amazing the difference that this makes. It's always amazing to me. Just a little touch of orange. Okay, now I'm just going in here and messing with this one because it grabbed my attention. I thought, well, that would look good if that gradient was a little bit smoother. There, now it's not such a perfect circle too. And I think that this could be a little brighter. Pure white right in the middle of that. We need that bright color. Let's get pure white and go here and here and here and here and here. See, if you're doing a more impressionistic style to the picture, you don't have to spend all that time on the details. Just a dab of white is enough. It adds that highlight, a dab of the color, a dab of the white. Just get the pattern in place. Once the pattern is there, you know, then it might be enough to create the effect. You don't necessarily need to have it in all of its detail, you know. Just understanding the pattern is nice, but you don't always need to put 100% of your understanding into the picture. A lesson that I still have to learn over and over. It's like, okay, Joe, you've learned all about that, but it doesn't all have to be in there in this one. Let's grab some of this darker color and put little edges on these drops. I think it'd be fun if there was some water. What do you think it would look like if there was water visible on that leaf, on the back side of the leaf? What if we go like this? All right. I'm going to call it a day after this. And I'll just finish off by putting some of my water drop effect on visible on the underside of the leaf. I'm going to put the water showing through after I finish tidying up these. I'm grabbing some of the orange, putting it around the white. I always want that white surrounded by the color. I'm going to borrow some of this color and put it up in here. You know, as long as I get it surrounded by that color. And I want to be able to see the same colors that are in the sky, you know, so it's got to have that relevance. Like, oh, where's that color coming from? If it matches the sky real well, then it'll look like that sky popping right through the droplet. See, this one's kind of bluish. I'm going to grab some of this color. Just put it right in here. Okay. I had a lot of fun doing this with the painting. I was painting a beer cave, a big old beer refrigerator for a gas station convenience store here in Flagstaff. The One Stop, if you look up the One Stop Shell station. I got the video posted somewhere, and I had a lot of fun putting a big splash of Coca-Cola blasting out of a bottle. It was fun. That was where I really studied this effect. You know, really put a lot of thought into how to get this look. Okay, I just need a touch more color, then I'll be ready to call this good. There we go. It has to have that color in there. I could probably enhance the dark shadows too. So the darkest area, you know, the darkest area might be like right here on the sides. Let's put a dark edge, get some contrast on this. It's just hard for me to do this this level of detail, you know, but if I can manage it, a little bit of black is going to look real good on there. Right there, right in here. Let's put some black on this guy. Isn't that interesting how you can put the black right toward the light, and that's what gives it its watery look. You can put it right on that edge that's facing the light. So you can see that this is quite a tedious process if I want to make it that. And I can keep going and going, refining the shapes, making real tiny ones, big ones, tiny ones. The more I mix it up, the more believable this is going to start to look. So now I'm just going to hollow these out. I just keep borrowing this color that's already on that. That's why I'm painting here, is just to grab up the color and put it in here. Chunk, chunk. Right there. I better stop doing that though, because I'm losing my nice pretty sky. I just want to put these drops in place. Where's my pure white? Get this. Bonk. Okay, so that's pretty fun. I'm gonna put water coming down this picture further and further. But the last thing I want to do today, here is grab some green and put a shadow. I'm just going to use a dark green, and so this is coming through the leaf, right? It's coming through the leaf, and so I'm just thinking it through. But we've got a shadow, so that where it's coming through the leaf, I really need to shift this toward yellow from the shadow. So why don't I take this shadow, and I gotta see if this works. I've never actually done this. I've never actually done this effect. So I'm going to put bluer color in here. I'm grabbing my blue-gray, and I'm going to put it right here. And we'll put like some splatter right there, maybe right here. You always see it in the fold of the leaf, you know. Let's put it in there. Maybe some black. And let's get some more blue and purple. And for this to look like it's on the other side of the leaf, you know, my goal is to just really make that hue shift showing. You know, to put that on the other side of the leaf, make the leaf so much more yellow where the light is not being blocked. And so then I'll put the, here, let's get a little more of this. Maybe some blue. Blue, more purple. Hold on, I'm mixing a purpley color. We're going to put it right in here, coming out this way. I want it to be in harmony with these shapes. Like it's traveling right across there, splatting as it hits this leaf, coming out there. And then I need my bright yellow green on there. So this is where it begins to look more like water, is if I do a good job of creating this gradient in here. So on the inside edge, where we have the big bead of water, that's where I'm going to make this gradient. Like this. Right in here, in this one. There we go. And then I want to think about where the light is. The light is here. Boom, it's going to hit that from the other side of the leaf. Like this. And then I need my bright white on the opposite side. Right here. Right here, maybe coming across here. But I've got to have those colors in place. This white is not going to have the effect I want it to if I don't have those colors surrounding it. I've got to have the colors. So let's blend the yellow into that white. Make sure we've got just enough color to really sell the story that's being told here. Looks like maybe I need a touch more color in this one. Nice and bright. I'll grab some green and yellow so that I get plenty of color in here. Just blasting off the edge of the leaf. Like that. Well, I hope that this has been informative. Genuinely a trick that I use in all of my paintings is understanding how to shift the hue as I want the effect of light coming through something. But also, I have a lot of fun doing water in various shapes by understanding what's going on with the light as it hits water. Right now, all I'm doing is trying to make the gradients smoother. I was yesterday reading a very small label as I was buying a kind of glue that I've never used, and I was reading the directions in the fine print. And I was thinking, man, how amazing is reading. You look at little symbols that I mean, the fine print that I'm reading, I've got my glasses off because I'm nearsighted and I'm looking at it this close. And I was thinking, man, the speed of comprehension, just for an ordinary person like me, I'm not a fast reader, but the speed of comprehension for the organized little lines that are measured by something smaller than I know the word for, teeny tiny things. I was thinking, then how important is it in a painting that I really think about where I want the gradient, where I want the sharp edge? How closely can I identify? If I can identify in fractions of a second what an entire sentence says in print, that's, a whole sentence that's shorter than one section on my finger. That's amazing to me. So how much of an impact does it have then to think about where I'm putting the gradient, where I'm putting the sharp edge, where I'm putting this color, that color? I think the power of those things can be very underestimated, but we hate guessing our way through these things. It's nice to know what the pattern is so that when you get into that super tedious detail, it's paying off. You're actually doing something, I'm going to shut it down now here after I give you some time to put in your last comments. And so what I'll do to finish off this skateboard is I'll continue my water drops across the front. I'll post a finished picture when it's done. I'm going to continue here. Why don't we zoom out and look at it so far? That might be fun. I'll give you time to drop a few comments in there. And I'll zoom out on this so we can see what the whole thing looks like at the moment. And so you can imagine, you can imagine, uh, my vision for the finished product. The goal is happiness. that was my vision for this at the beginning. Things that make me happy, because skateboarding makes me happy. This is why I skateboard, because I feel happy when I'm cruising. I feel the summer breeze on me. I try a trick, miss it, fall on the concrete. It's not as happy then, but I still do get the happiness of the challenge, this like being able to say, I skateboard. Yeah, man, I crashed on my skateboard. I tried this trick. I tried a varial flip. I almost landed it. I don't know. It's a dysfunctional kind of thrill that we have, isn't it, when we like to get hurt? But anyway, that sums up skateboarding for me. That's why I chose this content to put on it. Things that make me happy. Hey, you're welcome, Teresa. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here. We have rain over this side of the ocean today. I can do that simultaneously. All right. Beatrice has rain over there. I'm jealous, man. We need rain here. You're welcome, Linda. It's always such a pleasure. Thank you for watching. Robert, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. I appreciate you watching as well. That water looks magic from a distance. Yeah, that's a valuable observation. From a distance, it tightens up the details. And so what's happening, when you back out, you're not seeing my brush strokes that are breaking the pattern. So when we zoom out on an object, we're removing the things that stand in the way of convincing, oh, that's water. That's what I'm seeing is water. So you remove the things that stand in the way. It's not adding all of the million details that exist. It's removing the things that stand in the way that really bumps it up to more believable, more realistic looking, if that's what you're going for. First off, this is amazing. Hey, thanks a lot. Thank you. Bit off topic from this painting. General, what palette should we go for when painting Blur City Night Lights? Thanks. Well, I did a painting of Houston. If you look up, if you just search my channel for the painting of Houston, Texas, then you can see me using a lot of this same color scheme, yellow, orange, red, to the darker purple evening light. But it's the same, just darker. To get night lights, you always start with any color for darkness. I think for a dark night sky, I like a dark blue violet. But then you just shift that toward the yellow by going from the blue to something more violet. It's never pure. It's like a grayish violet. So same palette for everything. All right. See if I'm missing anything. You're welcome, Bridget. Thanks. Val, always a pleasure having you here. So I'm going to shut it down, and remember on Wednesday, I got to make sure I got that right, on Wednesday, I'll fire it up in the afternoon, 3 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So since I've got life happening again, work happening, my wife is going to be out of town, and I'll be at home with the boys. And so I've got to do that simultaneously, trying to squeeze in some hours on a job site. So I gotta juggle my schedule a little bit. Anyway, that's all to say that I haven't landed on a consistent schedule for these live shows. It's just what I'm able to do. I appreciate you being here. Krishna says, can you share some tips? Dry oil painting fast. Live here where I live. That's the best tip, because we're down at like single digits on humidity. Dries out your lips, your eyes, your skin, everything's dry. Dries fast. You need heat and dry air. Wind. If you can just get temperature and wind, but you don't want to blow dust on your painting. So, you definitely want to be in a clean area to do that. Lots of ventilation and raise the temperature. That's how you dry the paint faster. There's also additives you can add. There's a product called Japan Dryer, I believe, that chemically speeds the drying. You could look into that. I've never used it though, be warned. Always learning a lot. Thank you, Lakshmi, for being here again. Thank you, thank you. Best dad. Well, I definitely want to be the best dad. We'll leave it at that. All right, 3 o'clock Wednesday. I'm going to shut it down. Thanks again, guys. Really appreciate you being here.